Hey, y'all, I'm out here hiking the Appalachian Trail and I'm having a great time. I'm loving it, right? And everyone who knows me knows that I'm normally a happy guy. I'm very optimistic. I don't have much bad things to say about many things. But one thing has just been sticking in my craw, and it was the response email I got from Injinji, right? So I'm hiking the Appalachian Trail and I get some blisters on my toe, and someone says, hey, get some Injinji socks, those toe socks. They're really neat and they'll separate your toes and your blisters will heal faster. So I got to Damascus and I went to the gear store and I bought some toe socks. And they're Injinji, they're not cheap, right? They're premier hiking socks. And I normally wear darn tough and I've never had a problem with them. The problem was with the shoes that I had, right? And I had switched out the shoes, so that problem had already gone. So I was just trying to do blister care and maintenance and drive on. And by the way, my feet feel wonderful now. So I bought I bought the socks. I didn't buy the liners, I bought the socks. And about every 3 or 4 days, I trim my toenails, and when I'm done trimming them, then I take an emery board to them to make sure that they're smooth, right? Because I don't want to be carrying around holy socks. So I leave Damascus. I've got toe socks on. I usually hike for 5 hours, take a break, and then at that break from my lunch, I take my shoes and my socks off, let my feet air out, eat my lunch, and then when the hour's up, I go on my way. And I hike another 5 hours. At the 3-hour mark, my left big toe felt weird, right? And so when I pulled my shoe off, my big toe was poking through, right? And so I emailed Injinji, and this is the photo that I sent them. So that was the photo that I sent them, right? Now, before I talk about their response, let me go into just a little bit of detail. If you go to Walmart and you buy a pair of Bobos and they break within 3 hours, you're going to be like, I want my money back for these Bobos, right? And Walmart is going to be like, go get you another pair of Bobos. Don't worry about it, right? And if you don't know what a Bobo is, if you've grown up poor, you know what Bobos are, right? And I got Bobos all the time growing up, man. And so, but 3 hours, that's it. And this is my experience with Injinji, right? I've heard other people say good things about him. I've heard other people say bad things about him. But this is my experience, right? 3 hours. And for those 3 hours, I'll never wear them again, ever. Okay? Now, this is their response. Okay, so 2 things about the response that I'm not really happy with. The first one was, hey, we're sorry they didn't last as long as expected, but we are always trying to make our socks better and more durable. Which means, that translates to, you know that your socks suck. That's all that means to me, right? Hey, we're trying to make them better. We're trying to make them all more durable. And as far as we're sorry they didn't last as long as you expected, I never expected in the last 3 hours. I expected way longer than that. No one in their right mind would say, hey, I'm going to buy a pair of premier Injinji socks for hiking. I'm going on a 9-hour hike, but I'm only expecting them to last for 3 hours. That never happens. So that was kind of like the first thing in that email that kind of brushed me aside. The second thing that kind of stuck in my craw was, you bought them from a third party. So if it wasn't directly from us, we need to see a proof of purchase, which, okay, I kind of understand that. But if you're through hiking the Appalachian Trail and you get to a shelter and you're talking with people, eventually the conversation always goes to what's in your pack. What are you carrying? Ooh, me, personally, I'm carrying 28 pounds, right? I know a guy who's carrying 20 pounds. Food, water, everything, 20 pounds, right? I know people who tear off their tags of their tents, their sleeping bags, their clothes because they weigh. That's unnecessary weight. So I don't think that I've ever said, hey, you know what? I'm going to get rid of all of my tags, but since I think I might be buying a pair of really junky pair of socks, maybe I'll keep this receipt. So the truth is I don't have one, right? I got a credit card statement, and my credit card statement says I bought X amount of dollars worth of stuff, and that's included, but they're not itemized to, well, you bought this sock and you bought this sleeping bag liner and you bought, whatever. So I have no proof. If Injinji would have just said in their email, hey, bud, maybe it was a bad lot. We don't know what happened. Here, man, here's like $15, or here's a pair of socks. Don't sweat it, man. We'll make this right. I'd be fine. But to go, hey, well, they didn't last as long as you expected. Sorry about that. And yeah, no receipt, no proof of purchase. Hey, sorry about that as well. For those two reasons, I will never, ever buy a pair of Injinji socks again. And everyone who I talk to along this 2,200-mile trek, when we get to talking about gear, I will be the first one to say, oh, Injinji socks suck. Don't buy them. And not only don't buy them because they're no good, like they last 3 hours, but the company doesn't stand behind their product. So for my money, I'm right on back to darn tough, and that's exactly what they are. So I'm glad I got that off my chest. I'm going to go back to being a happy guy. It was just really bugging me, and I had to get that out. So love you guys.